So I'd like to take advantage of this entire 1 minute and 12 seconds where the screen is out of focus to talk about the concept of multiple discovery. So obviously, or obviously to you if you've done a Google search, this is not a word that I technically made up, Gloomicorn. But in actuality, I did make it up late at night. I had an idea that if I were a unicorn and I've gotten so sick and tired of seeing the classic white unicorn with rainbow hair and a gold horn. I was so sick of it. So I had this idea that if I were a unicorn, I would be purple, because that's my favorite color, and I would have a copper horn, because it's cool, and just basically I would be a gloomicorn, because I also am just a sad person in general. So that's where I came up with that, and then I decided to look it up and see if someone else had come up with that, and it turns out they had. So this came about. And that's about all I'm going to talk about it. Now into the actual art. Well, I didn't know it at the time, because I was, I guess, naive. But I didn't know it at the time, but this drawing is basically the poster child for testing out your materials before you use them and combine them with other materials. And the poster child for, I guess, picking up art and trying to salvage it after it's gone wrong. I don't want to be boastful, but in my opinion, the lines that I was putting down for this horse were so good. The inking was coming along really nicely. The only complaint that I really had while I was doing it was the hair. I was not a fan of hair, but this is also, I'm bringing a lot more realism into my general realistic style. It ends up looking like just my general realistic art in the end because of the mistakes that I made, but in the beginning, I like to bring a lot more line art into my style now because I don't know how to put it, patchy color. I really like bold colors, bold shadows. I don't like a lot of, gradients and things like that. So I kind of thought to myself, well, how am I going to bring that sort of feeling into my realistic art? Because I paint with gradients and things like that, which you definitely wouldn't know. Whatever. So looking at it, I decided, okay, well, I'm going to just go heavy with the line art and use the pens and ink to make any shadows. And then I'll just put, flat color over top of it and hope for the best. Which, you can't see quite yet, but the best did not come to me. So, I was drawing this unicorn. In case you recognize this horse, in order to, I guess, prepare as a reference photo, I looked up the saddest horse in the world and then drew it. So, because I know that horses have, the capacity to look really, really sad, but we don't really often take photos of horses looking sad because that's, you don't want people to call animal abuse. So, it was actually really easy to find this photo, but there weren't many other reference photos of sad horses. So going along with this, because my idea was to use the pens as shading, I didn't really want to add any color to my horse, to my unicorn. So I'm doing the initial shading with this light gray pen that I got. Let me see if I can find the brand. Yeah, Stedler Tri Plus Fine Liner Neon. So I don't have the package for the pens anymore, and that is part of the reason why I so confidently started using the paint over the watercolor paint over the pen because I don't tend to buy pens that aren't waterproof. So, learned a lesson there, guys. Take a look at your packaging before you buy things as well. My biggest regret in this whole drawing, because I do think that in the end, you know, I managed to sort of salvage it. It doesn't look like it used to, and that makes me a little sad. I really liked all of the lining in the horse, but my biggest regret is actually the loss of those cabbage roses that I put in the corner. I accidentally painted them off screen, and so, you know, if video editing doesn't take absolutely all of my energy out of me, then you probably won't see these flowers at all anyway, being painted. But the watercolor just, it took all of the lining out of those roses to the point where I couldn't even really, like, when I salvage it later, I still can't really see any of the lines that I had. So it just doesn't look the same. The honeysuckle turned out fine. It didn't really lose any of its lines, and maybe I'll, you know, theorize as to why that was later, but, you know, the honeysuckle turned out fine. The horse, I could see some of the lines, and that kind of made up for it. I was able to get most of my line art back on the unicorn, but those roses, not my friend. And later on, had I known that I was going to, well, of course you can't see this now, but had I known that I was going to do the eyelashes in white, I probably would not have done a base color of black. So this is me testing out the colors that I wanted to use. I actually hate pink, but I wanted to kind of tie the flowers into the unicorn without really having it be the same color. So I went for a nice sort of pink and orange yellow theme, pink and yellow, to go with the purple and orange. And I don't know, I don't regret it, but I don't know, I wish that I had checked my colors before I wrecked my colors. So maybe that is something else that I will also be doing in the future. Probably not in the next few videos, because I actually made a lot of this art in the past month. Video editing has really just been a huge struggle, to the point where I meant to participate in, I guess you call it creatuary? I don't know, the January art challenge where you draw a creature every day. So I meant to participate in that, and it just did not happen because I was just working on filming and editing. And if you're watching here, it's pretty clear that I don't currently have an art desk. So I'm using my lap for a lot of this. If I do end up being able to move my art desk into my room, then I will use it there, but right now it's in a completely different house in a completely different city, so that'll just have to wait. Wow, I thought that I was gonna sit down and not have anything to say while doing this art, but that is not the case. So what I'm doing right now, and I'll talk about it just because it's off screen, sadly, I was lining the roses. So the bottom rose I lined completely with the light pink, and then I went over the center with orange. The rose at the top I went over completely with a lavender and went over the center with pink. I thought that might kind of bring the flowers into the unicorn's space a little bit more naturally. Hopefully. I really did struggle with the hair, so I'm gonna have to look more into reference photos for how to do hair in this particular style. I kind of fell in love with cross-hatching and hatching at some point, and I think it kind of looks similar to, you know, that tattoo line art style where it's got like a bold outline and then hatching on the inside. That's not exactly the feel that I was going for, but I kind of really do like that look. I wanted my art to kind of look like it could be a tattoo, but it's not a tattoo. So I meant to erase off screen and then like show it as some sort of magic trick that suddenly all of the pencil line was gone, but that did not happen. So you just get to see my painting as it is, and now you get to watch me ruin it. This is the part that I am talking about. And it didn't really bleed quite so much with the light gray pen, I think because I left it with more time to dry. So I didn't really realize what was happening until I had already done almost all of the hair, and it was too late. So I just kind of was like, alright, I'll keep going, because the bleeding wasn't so bad. I was just like, alright, I'll keep going, and whatever is left at the end, that's what'll be left. But I wasn't really keeping in mind the fact that I had lined the purple horse with light gray pen. And so I lost that line, I lost those lines a little bit. This is just me going over with a second layer of my about to be gone pearlescent white. Because it's a unicorn and I wanted it to be magical, I painted this whole thing with this pearlescent metallic set of watercolors that I got, and that's another thing that I guess I'll talk about in this painting in this video as well. I had a sketchbook of watercolor paper, and I had a sketchbook of, or rather I had a set of just regular watercolor paints. It was in my car because I'm a garbage person, and because somebody else was a garbage person, they decided to steal it from me. So this is the first of several videos, sadly, wherein I will not have the materials that I need to do the art that I want to do. But I kind of was at a point where I was just like, okay, you've been planning on making these videos for such a long time, you gotta just get it out. You know, it doesn't matter what the art is on, it doesn't matter what you use, just get it out there. Which, in hindsight, was maybe not a great idea, but I'm kind of okay with it anyway. I really love this horse painting, and I will be redoing it when I have the proper materials. Probably with different colors and more shading anyway. I think that gradient, I think I'm gonna need to use it anyway, basically. At this point, I had realized that I was losing my lines, and so I went back and started doing gradients with the watercolors underneath. Oh wow, I wish I could skip this entire part. This is the part where I painted off screen, so I keep dragging and trying to drag the video over, and it's just not working. But basically, I painted the centers of those roses. I painted the bottom one orange, I painted the top one pink. I'm doing all of my shading before I do any of my flat color, and I do like the effect that I ended up with having done that, but I think I'm going to try to, I guess, do better the next time. And the sad part is, oh my gosh, I'm so sad you didn't get to see me paint the horn at all, because I just ran out of space on my camera. It just wouldn't let me add any more video. So at some point this video cuts out and it skips to me trying to salvage everything in a different place entirely. So get ready for that. In case you're wondering, for some reason, what I'm doing for this drawing to make the paint go on better to, I guess, paper that isn't meant to be watercolored, is that I'm adding water to the page before I add the paint. And I think that caused some problems later on down the line as well with me losing my lines, but I'm kind of okay with it because I needed the paint to go on the paper. There's not really anything else I can do. So that is the color that I mixed for that top rose. Love that you can see me mix the entire color, can't see me paint the rose. And that that was the end of I guess what my camera would allow me to film. And this is me trying to fix everything that I ruined. So I have a set of gel pens, sparkly gel pens, and I wanted to keep with the magic, so I'm going and basically just trying to salvage and redo my lines from before with those gel pens. Gave my unicorn a little tear duct. I think later on I decided I didn't like it and took it out, but I gave him a little tear duct, and I am going over those lines, as I said before. If the color is too bright, then I just smudge it a little bit with my finger because gel pens need to dry, basically. But these are actually really fast drying gel pens. All of the gel pens that I own dry really fast because that is what I like to see in my art, and that's, I usually test my things before I use them, so I think I just tested the colors on that Staedtler multi-pack because I wasn't planning on using it with watercolor. Little did I know! It's now the, I guess, most expansive set of colored liner pens that I own, and so now I use it for everything. But I think originally I was just going to use it for traditional line art, no paint, no nothing but ink and graphite. As you can see on here, well, maybe you can't see, but I chose too bright of a blue for the tips of the ears and the muzzle of the horse, and so I tried to smudge it out. Didn't really work out, but that's okay. I left it for then and just kind of went on to do the horn, because that's my favorite part. And that's what I generally do with art. If I'm getting to a point where I'm frustrated with the drawing or I don't like this particular part of it, I'll move on to a part that I know I'm gonna like. I really enjoyed doing the horn, all of those little hatch marks to, I guess, show the texture of that spiral. I really liked it. So I just, took a break and went to go do the horn. I added some more lines on the bottom of the curve to make it look more 3D, and I kind of gave a little cut towards the top to make it look more 3D there. Then I moved on to the eyelashes because that was still more fun, the eyelashes and the eye, than trying to look at, in my opinion, the wreck that I had made of my horse's little sad muzzle. It made me very upset to see that bright blue in such a, I guess, not neutral, but I like those dulled down colors, and so I don't know, I wanted the focus of bright blue to be the eye, and it was not great. So that's me adding some shading to the eyelashes. Sorry that this whole video is just me talking about how much I hate this art. What I did later to fix that bright blue is that I went in with this silver gel pen, which I later used to line the roses, and it just dulled down that blue, and it made me so happy. I was just like, yes, adding gray does help. As you can see now, I'm kind of just generally lining that top rose. You saw it earlier with all of those lines in it, and I could not see them at that point, and I was very sad, so I just kind of finished off the drawing. And that is it. So that is a lesson in actually practicing before you try to do art. I feel like a lot of the problems with this first video and I guess the second video that you'll see later are that, I just wasn't experienced in trying to turn my art into videos. So I'm a newbie at video editing, I'm a newbie at filming while I draw. It has been a journey. So hopefully next time there will be less complaints. I actually really do like this drawing. I know that it sounds like I don't, but I actually really do. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day.